Welcome back everyone. Now I have to say that nothing beats cooking or baking with produce that are in season. It so happened that here figs, that lovely sweet fruits, are in season, and it's even better because in the family here we've got a fig tree. So I went into the garden, did a bit of a raid in there and grabbed a whole tray of super ripe figs, and we are going to be making a tart. Okay, it's going to be a sweet tart with fig and raspberry. The fig and raspberry tart is very, very interesting because it is using actually a lot of the techniques we've been talking about on the channel recently. And I'm going to demonstrate by making this how knowing your cooking or baking basics can allow you to really elevate your cooking and to make something out of the ordinary without really breaking a sweat. So let's go. Would you look at this lovely fruit? They always look good on camera. So I've got the raspberries, just bought this from the shop, and these are the freshly picked fig. Look at how jammy it is. The sugar is coming out. This is for me the way you have to use figs because they really are the best, and it's going to be super sweet, super juicy, and perfect for a tart. So when I said I wanted to demonstrate that knowing your baking basics can really help, this is so much the case here because in fact, when you've already prepared all these little things, this is just an assembly tart, as complex as it may seem. So let's start first with what we've seen a few weeks ago, the short crust. We've got 4 types, and the 2 main types that are easy to make are the pâte à foncer and pâte brisée. This is a pâte à foncer. It is the one with a little bit of sugar. Look at that consistency. It is one of my favorite, super easy to work with, and you can use it with fruit tarts. But I did mention, once you know your cooking basics, that you can only use this with a filling or fruit that can be cooked. So what are we going to do here? We're going to lay this in a circle, put this in a tart pan, and then at the bottom of the tart, we're going to put this. This is something we've seen quite some time ago on the channel, the almond cream, when we made the pear and almond tart, okay? That filling has to be cooked. So I'm going to spread this at the bottom, got a nice layer of almond cream, and then we're going to have our figs here. Now figs can be cooked in the oven, but you may think, oh, but what about the raspberry? You know, you can't cook them. That's right, because in this recipe you cook first the tart, no blind baking involved, with the figs only, and after when it's cooked and it's cold, we're going to decorate with some extra raspberries and sprinkle the whole lot with a homemade cinnamon sugar. So as you can see, if you know your short crust technique, you know how to make a short crust, you know how to make an almond cream, it is just an assembly game and just lining up a tart pan, which is exactly what we're going to do right now. Let's go. Step number 1, the short crust. I've rolled it out and I've lined up a tart tin. I've made some hole because there's no blind baking involved. Okay. Next comes the almond cream. The almond cream has been made before. I'm going to take it all, and all what you're going to do here is to spread everything everywhere in a thin layer. So look at this. A layer of almond cream already sets your tart apart from anything. And now the fruits. I don't work very often with figs, to be honest. So I've kind of decided to put them this way. So I'm going to go all around. But I want to leave a little space because after we've got the raspberry, one we're going to use to decorate. So I'm just going to go around and around, put the little figgies. Step 2 is done. The figs are in, and I've tried to pack as many as I could because sometimes you make a tart, it's like, oh, I wish there was more fruit. So this time I'm not going to get caught up. And that's it. Now we can cook the tart. So we're going to cook this at 180 degrees Celsius in the oven, put the oven Fahrenheit, for about 40 minutes until this is really cooked. And then we'll continue. After 40 minutes, the tart is ready. You have to leave it to cool a little bit and take it out of the mold. And there's one little thing you need to be taking care of when you don't blind bake. When you use your oven, you need to make sure that you have most of the time the top and bottom element on, and put the tart more on the lower part of the oven so that the bottom of the dough here is not soggy and cooks everywhere properly. That is very important. So let's move on. So the step number 2 is done. So we've cooked the tart. These are the figs, and they're a bit jammy and it doesn't look super good. Now we need to do a bit of decoration. So all it is to sprinkle now a little bit of that cinnamon sugar over, and then start to decorate with the raspberries. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put random here and there, wherever I can, big one, small one, and kind of fill and hide all these gaps everywhere. So do your best, do a decoration. I'm going to do my best here. I'm going to try to use some fresh figs on the sides, and then I'll show you the result when it's done. Okay, so here we are. As you can see, nothing super special. I've added a few of these ripe figs on there and just a few raspberries, and basically you are done. And we've got our fig and raspberry tart. Now, of course, it is important to eat it cold, and you have to wait, as well, I was waiting as long as possible. And I guess we need to try it out. So I haven't, to be honest, I've never tried this tart before. So I'm just going to take a little piece out of there, up, cut it off. That's how it looks inside. You can see, not bad, not bad. You see it's cooked, huh? the crust, and you can see the layer of cooked figs with the almond cream on there. Let me test this. Oh, give me a second. It's an interesting combination. Actually, the almond cream with the fig goes very well. I thought it was going to be very jammy, you know, like almost like prawn style, which I don't like. But in fact, sorry. The crust it's a beautiful crust. It's very thin, you know, and it goes nice with the texture of the fig, and then you got a hint of almond and a freshness of the raspberry towards the end. So that's quite interesting. To be honest, it's a surprising tart. Yeah. So let's wrap up. First off, I'd like to say that I'm really surprised. This is really an interesting tart. This is, you know, kind of a high level than your standard stuff. It is layered, you know, the flavor, you got the crust, then the almond cream, then the figs, then the raspberry. There is freshness, there is sugariness, there is jam kind of feeling. It is super interesting. But the most important what I wanted to showcase today is you see how many techniques did I use, how to make a short crust, and how to make an almond cream. The rest was an assembly. And these are the things we teach all the time in our courses, being baking or just the cooking. Not because it's a gimmick and I want to say, oh yeah, go and buy the courses, because it is useful. I'm trying to tell the world. French cooking is not hard. Learn these base techniques and you're going to be able to make tons of recipes, being savory or sweet. And this is what I'm doing all the time on the channel. I'm not a pro at baking, and look, a beautiful tart that I'm discovering. So I will leave you with this thought in mind anyway. If you have any comment on this, use the comment section. If you want to make this and share your pictures, use Instagram as always, hashtag #myfrenchdish. And if you want to follow us, you got Patreon as well, or Facebook. As for me, I will see you next week, of course, for another French cooking video. Take care all, bye-bye.